Hello everybody. Today we'll be analyzing task 1, which is integrated writing. Our job is to read a reading passage, and we need to focus on 3 major arguments here. And then we need to listen to a lecture where a professor will be talking about the same topic, providing 3 counter arguments. Okay, so let's just do everything step by step. So this is our first body paragraph. So let's read it very carefully. Endotherms are animals such as modern birds and mammals that keep their body temperatures constant. Remember, always pay close attention to the first sentence of each body paragraph, because the first sentence is called the topic sentence, which has the main idea of the whole body paragraph. Okay, next. For instance, humans are endotherms and maintain an internal temperature of 37 degrees, no matter whether the environment is warm or cold. Because dinosaurs were reptiles and modern reptiles are not endotherms, it was long assumed that dinosaurs were not endotherms. However, dinosaurs differ in many ways from modern reptiles, and there is also considerable evidence that dinosaurs were in fact endotherms. So, this last part is also a very important part. Here it says, and there is now considerable evidence that dinosaurs were in fact endotherms. Okay, so we can draw a conclusion saying that dinosaurs are believed to have been endotherms. Okay, so this is the main idea. All right, now let's move on. Next body paragraph. One reason for believing that dinosaurs were endotherms is that dinosaur fossils have been discovered in polar regions. As I said, the first sentence is really important because it's the topic sentence, and we need to remember the first reason. And the next reason is just a supporting argument. Only animals that can maintain a temperature well above that of the surrounding environment could be active in such cold climates. So the conclusion is dinosaur fossils have been discovered in polar regions. So this is the first argument. All right, let's move on. Leg position and movement. There is a connection between endothermy and the position and movement of the legs. The physiology of endothermy allows sustained physical activity such as running. But running is efficient only if an animal's legs are positioned underneath the body, not at the body's side, as they are for crocodiles and many lizards. The legs of all modern endotherms are underneath the body, and so were the legs of dinosaurs. This strongly suggests that dinosaurs were endotherms. Okay, so the key sentence here is running is efficient only if an animal's legs are positioned underneath its body, not at the body's side. Okay, so this is the key sentence. So the conclusion is, as dinosaurs' legs were underneath their bodies, they were meant to be for running. Okay, or such dinosaurs are considered to have been endotherms. So this is our second argument. Next. Conversion canals. There's also a connection between endothermy and bone structure. The bones of endotherms usually include structures called conversion canals. These canals house nerves and blood vessels that allow the living animal to grow quickly, and rapid body growth is in fact a characteristic of endothermy. The presence of conversion canals in bone is a strong indicator that the animal is an endotherm, and fossilized bones of dinosaurs are usually dense with conversion canals. So the last sentence is very important, because we're talking about a specific canal here. The presence of conversion canals in bone is a strong indicator of that. So focus on these key words. A strong indicator of that, which means that this is a piece of evidence that proves that they were endotherms. Okay, so the conclusion is dinosaurs' bone structure included conversion canals, which have nerves and blood vessels, and therefore they are considered to be endotherms. All right. Now, our job is to listen to a lecture. Okay, remember, you must definitely take notes. So here we have 3 arguments which we have just analyzed in our reading passage, and the professor will be talking about 3 counter arguments. So make sure to take notes and make sure to indicate these counter arguments. Let's do it now.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic you just read about.
Many scientists have problems with the arguments you read in the passage. They don't think those arguments prove that dinosaurs were endotherms. Take the polar dinosaur argument. When dinosaurs lived, even the polar regions where dinosaur fossils have been found were much warmer than today. Warm enough during part of the year for animals that were not endotherms to live. And during the months when the polar regions were cold, the so-called polar dinosaurs could have migrated to warmer areas, or hibernated like many modern reptiles do. So the presence of dinosaur fossils in polar regions doesn't prove the dinosaurs were endotherms. Well, what about the fact that dinosaurs had their legs placed under their bodies, not out to the side like a crocodile's? That doesn't necessarily mean dinosaurs were high-energy endotherms built for running. There's another explanation for having legs under the body. This body structure supports more weight. So with the legs under their bodies, dinosaurs could grow to a very large size. Being large had advantages for dinosaurs, so we don't need the idea of endothermy and running to explain why dinosaurs evolved to have their legs under their bodies. Okay, so how about bone structure? Many dinosaur bones do have haversian canals, that's true. But dinosaur bones also have growth rings. Growth rings are a thickening of the bone that indicates periods of time when the dinosaurs weren't rapidly growing. These growth rings are evidence that dinosaurs stopped growing or grew more slowly during cooler periods. This pattern of periodic growth, rapid growth followed by no growth or slow growth, and then rapid growth again, is characteristic of animals that are not endotherms. Animals that maintain a constant body temperature year-round, as true endotherms do, grow rapidly even when the environment becomes cool.
Summarize the points made in the lecture, being sure to explain how they challenge the specific points made in the reading passage.
All right, now let's analyze the lecture very quickly. The professor says many scientists have problems with the arguments you read in the passage, which basically means that the professor entirely disagrees with the main points indicated in the reading passage. Okay, now let's talk about the first counter-argument. The professor says, when dinosaurs lived, even the polar regions where dinosaur fossils have been found were much warmer than today. Warm enough during part of the year for animals that were not endotherms to live. And during the months when the polar regions were cold, the so-called polar dinosaurs could have migrated to warmer areas or hibernated like many modern reptiles do. So these are the main keywords that we need to focus on, and based on these keynotes we can write our own response. Now let's talk about the second argument. The professor says with the legs under their bodies, dinosaurs could grow to a very large size. Being large has advantages for dinosaurs. So this is the second counter-argument. Now let's look at the last counter-argument. The professor says, okay, so how about bone structure? Many dinosaur bones do have haversian canals, that's true, but dinosaur bones also have growth rings, so focus on the word but. Next, these growth rings are evidence that dinosaurs stopped growing or grew more slowly during cooler periods. This pattern of periodic growth, rapid growth followed by no growth or slow growth and then rapid growth again, is characteristic of animals that are not endotherms. So the key words are they are not endotherms, and this is her last counter argument. All right, so as you can see, we have three main arguments, okay, indicated in the reading passage, and we have three counter arguments presented in the lecture. Now I will show you exactly how to write your response. The article states that dinosaurs are believed to have been endotherms and provides three supporting arguments. So the article, right, you can also write the reading passage states that. Instead of writing just says that, it's better to write states that. And then focus on the main idea. Dinosaurs are believed to have been endotherms. Now let's just look at this quickly. So this part, dinosaurs are believed to have been endotherms, right? So this is the main idea here. All right. Next, in here, and provides three supporting arguments, because we have three supporting arguments. Next, however, the professor entirely disagrees with this statement by providing the following counter arguments, because the professor said that many scientists have problems with the arguments you read in the passage, which basically means that she disagrees with all the arguments presented in the reading passage, and then she provides the following counter arguments. So try to remember this exact structure. So this is your introduction. Next, firstly, the reading claims that dinosaur fossils have been discovered in polar regions. So instead of writing first or first of all, it's better to write firstly. And also the reading, because we know what kind of reading passage we're talking about, and then claims that, and talk about the first argument. Next, only those animals that are able to maintain a temperature above that of a surrounding environment have the potential to survive there. So this is our first argument taken from the reading passage. Now we need to focus on the counter argument. The professor refutes this point by stating that the polar regions in the past were far warmer than today, which must have increased the chances of dinosaurs' survival. So this is our first counter argument. And remember these keywords, the professor refutes this point. The verb refute here basically means cancel out, neutralize, to say that no, it's not logical, it's not correct, and then she says something different. Next, furthermore, polar dinosaurs might have migrated to warmer areas or hibernated as many modern reptiles do. So she gives an additional counter-argument, and this information is taken from the lecture. Now, in the next body paragraph, we need to focus on the second argument and the second counter-argument. So secondly, the article posits that as dinosaurs' legs were underneath their bodies, they were meant to be for running. Okay, so the article posits that, which basically means says that. Next, such dinosaurs are considered to have been endotherms. Okay, so this information is taken from the reading passage. Now let's focus on the professor's counter argument. However, the professor argues that this body structure had the advantage of supporting heavy weight, and this enabled them to grow to a very large size. Okay, so in this case, the word however basically means but. Okay, next, in the last paragraph, again, here we need to focus on the third argument taken from the reading passage and the third counter argument provided by the professor. So finally, according to the passage, dinosaurs' bone structure included haversian canals, which have nerves and blood vessels, and this indicates that they would have fallen into the category of endotherms. Now let's focus on the counter-argument. The professor opposes this point by explaining that despite having haversian canals, dinosaur bones also have growth rings. Next, the lecture clearly indicates that the growth was periodic, being slow, rapid, or unchanged depending upon the environmental temperature. So this is our last counter argument. Next, the professor concludes that this is not a characteristic of endotherms. So we need to indicate the final conclusion of the professor. And that's all. I hope you have learned how to write an integrated writing, how to take notes, how to focus on 3 arguments and 3 counter arguments, and how to integrate them into one writing task. Thanks for watching and analyzing this video lesson.